Hello, my name is Gerard Robinson. I'm the Vice President for Education at the Advanced Studies and Culture Foundation located in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm also the host of In Character. And In Character provides me an opportunity to have interesting conversations with interesting people who focus on topics in education, culture, and society. Recently, I had an opportunity to speak with 7 state teachers of the year, and one of them is with us tonight. And the subject at that time was, what is the role of the teacher in student formation? And tonight's conversation is just a one-on-one follow-up. And so with that, David, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, Gerard. I really appreciate it. My name is David Bosso. I'm the 2012 Connecticut Teacher of the Year. I teach social studies in Berlin, Connecticut, which is right in the geographic center of the state. And I am a 2019 inductee into the National Teachers Hall of Fame.
So when we talk about teachers and we talk about why they decided to come into the profession, you've been in the profession, I think, longer than 3 years. You've been recognized for your work and your craft. What attracted you to becoming a teacher?
Well, I've always had an interest in making a difference, as cliche as it sounds.
Sure.
I really think that anybody who's been in the classroom and has worked with students, or really anybody in a service profession, feels motivated by a certain drive, a certain sense of mission, a certain sense of making a difference, not only in the lives of individual students, but really in a society. I think education is absolutely fundamental. It is a pillar in a democratic society, and particularly as a social studies teacher, I feel that pull even more so.
Mm-hmm.
And teachers, along again with others in the service oriented professions, make this world a better place.
Social studies, something I enjoyed when I was in high school. You cover some really important topics. What subject or what theme in social study keeps you up at night saying that I've got to get this right for students? What would it be?
Well, whether it's, I teach a world history, it's been a long time since I've taught US history, or sociology, or anthropology, or psychology. I keep going back to this theme of there are these universal dilemmas across time and place.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter the culture, no matter the generation, there's something that connects us, and we're part of this larger sense of humanity. Some people refer to it as Ubuntu, that we are all connected and we can't be who we are without everybody around us who make us who we are.
Okay.
And maybe more so in high school, I really think that the opportunities to look at controversial topics and current events, the historical context, gives us a sense or an opportunity to look into the ways that we have always dealt with these universal forces that are at work in everybody's lives. And so it's fascinating when students get a sense of being part of something greater. And that comes through in a lot of ways. It manifests itself in a lot of ways, whether they themselves want to become a teacher, or they want to travel, just maybe something that's more eye-opening, where they connect local events with more national and global forces at work. When they see those connections, it's just always thrilling for me as a teacher to know that that's when students get a sense of the world around them, and we all go back so far. We're all so connected to the past, and we don't exist in a vacuum. And as intangible, as philosophical as that might sound, there's something powerful about that when you recognize your place as part of this greater sense of humanity.
One of the great achievements for a teacher is when a student or students run into you in a grocery store or in a social setting and tell you how important you were to them as a teacher, and maybe even a class that helped change how they think about themselves in the world. Do you mind sharing 1 or 2 stories to capture that moment for us?
Ah, boy. I mean, having done this for a long time, there's so many stories, and some of them are heartwarming, and some of them are heartbreaking.
Mhm.
I've been to weddings of students. I've been to funerals of students, and y- you know, it's hard sometimes to put into words. I don't think I'm thinking like if you go to a wedding of a student or you see them many years later, maybe at that point they start to get a sense of how important their high school education was in a formative sense.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just I don't know, just it's hard to put into words. But knowing that you played a small role in a student's life, and
Mhm.
it's interesting when you get the email years later, or you get a note years later, and there's a reference to something maybe that you yourself have forgotten, but it made such an impact on a student, or and again, not to sound melancholy, but it's part of this thing that we're all a part of, and you go to a wake of a student, and the parent tells you how much they enjoyed and being in your class, or how much of a difference you made. I mean, that is so powerful,
Mhm.
and so humbling. Um, and that's one of the things about teaching. It's just really interesting balance of being humbled and being empowered, and knowing that you've made a difference, and that difference might go many years or generations into the future, long after we're gone. And so I, I, I mean, I suppose I can give you more specific examples, but just that idea of so many years later,
Mhm.
knowing that uh, your student. I mean, I have right now. I have children of students that I taught early on. I have colleagues of mine who are former students,
Okay.
and, and so yeah, it humbles you, but it's so powerful and moving to know that maybe you said something or did something, or just you were who you were, and that carries into the future.
No, it's so true. I'm still in contact with my fourth grade teacher who's now 80. And
Yeah,
I started a scholarship at a high school that she supports in her name,
that's great.
focused on the arts. So I know exactly what you mean. Um, Teaching, for a whole lot of reasons, very rewarding, but also very tough. What do you do to keep yourself intellectually and emotionally stimulated to wake up every day and go back into the classroom? Because like other subjects that your colleagues teach, you got a nice range, ranging again from anthropology all the way to world history. How does David keep David fueled?
Well, I mean, there's a number of ways, and I say this when I talk with prospective teachers or younger teachers, and
Mm-hmm.
that is finding that balance. I mean, it is a tough job.
Right.
There are many challenges on a daily basis, and if you go into things overly idealistic, you're going to crash hard, because there are going to be
Yeah.
some eye-opening things. When you hear some of the stories of students' lives, I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to be grounded in the mission of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if the mission drives you, and that's what I mean by that service orientation. Most teachers that I know, and even when I did my doctoral work, that sense of purpose is what kept them motivated. And that again is more on an intangible, kind of nebulous level. And on a more prosaic level,
Mm-hmm.
my wife's a teacher. We teach in the same school.
Okay.
Having a support system is critically important.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's definitely helped over the years, and being able to bounce things off of uh, my wife and colleagues of mine.
Mm-hmm.
That support system has been crucial. Um, Having opportunities for teacher leadership
Mm-hmm.
has been very important, and I've been very fortunate with that, particularly the opportunities that have come my way since being named Teacher of the Year. So knowing that you're maybe playing a bit of a role in informing the policy making discussion, that's been very important. Being involved in professional development
Mm-hmm.
experiences, whether that's continuing to grow, delivering presentations, I've been very lucky. I've been able to travel to a lot of the places that I teach about. So that's been very formative in the sense of my professional identity. I try to read as many books as I can. Of course, some of them, like most people, some of them are up there for a show, but eventually I'll get to them. But really, I mean, it's that idea, ancora imparo, like you're always learning, you're constantly learning. What Michelangelo said many years ago, I think he was in his 90s or 80s when he said it. I hope to keep learning. My mother right now is in her 80s. She continues to read and wants to learn about things going on in the world, and that's been an inspiration. So I think if you are fueled by this idea that you are contributing to something greater, that's going to get you through a lot of tough times. And again, realistically speaking, it would be naive to think that you're always, it's naive to think that you're going to be like Robin Williams in the movie, jumping on the desk and constantly inspiring kids. And it might not happen right away, but it might be 10 years down the road where some nugget that you planted or some seed that you planted is going to make a difference. So I think if you keep the why at the center, that certainly will help, particularly in some of those tougher times. And there's going to be those tougher times.
You were the 2012 Teacher of the Year for Connecticut. Your colleague, who I've also had a conversation with, had that position as well. Many people in your state may never get a chance to meet you in person. And so walk us through the process of becoming a State Teacher of the Year, starting with the district all the way up to the announcement.
Well, so I feel proud of the fact that Connecticut has one of the stronger programs throughout the country in terms of what we are able to offer to the Teachers of the Year from the various districts, as well as our semifinalists. I currently serve as our Connecticut Teacher of the Year Council President. This is my second term, so I've been pretty intimately involved really since 2012, 2013. So each district has a slightly different process, but I think there's probably a lot of commonalities. In my building, we did nominations. There was a small committee of former building Teachers of the Year who met.
Good.
And somehow they decided upon me to move forward, and a colleague spoke for me at the district level, which I remain very grateful for. And then filled out an application. In fact, right now in our state, we have a committee of about 40 people who are reading the current applications. And so it's a pretty thorough application with a number of essays, educational philosophy, current trends in education, what you would speak about as a Teacher of the Year. And so completed that application, and every year they get it down to 15 semifinalists, and the 15 semifinalists will interview. Traditionally it's been in person. This year it's going to be virtually, given the circumstances, and you answer a series of questions. And really what they're looking for, and this is really one of the maybe the misunderstandings of Teacher of the Year. They're not looking for the best teacher. Like I told you, I work with my wife. I don't even consider myself to be the best teacher in my household. What they're looking for is a spokesperson for education. And so after the interviews, they narrow it down to four finalists, and they do site visits. So they'll visit the committee will visit your school. The committee is about 20 people or so will visit your school for about 3 hours and interview students and parents of students and colleagues and Board of Ed members and other staff members, and just really get a sense of who you are as a teacher and your contributions to the school community and so on. And then a vote takes place. And I received a phone call and I was named Teacher of the Year, and many things change. I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I mean, I remain in the classroom, and I love being in the classroom. But like as I said, a number of opportunities have come my way since being Teacher of the Year. And it happened to be, it coincided with some interesting times in the state of Connecticut. Like a lot of states that were going through a process of enacting the Common Core state standards and the teacher evaluation and getting the No Child Left Behind waivers. And so I quickly had to learn a lot about that. And what happens for a lot of the Teachers of the Year is that they, you know, it's like overnight they feel like they need to be experts on all these policy issues, and that's tough. And at the same time, it's this thing where, you know, like, why me, right? Like, why of the thousands of people that it could have been, why me? But I also recognize that I have this great opportunity to have a larger platform to say what I need to say and to speak my truth. And as I said, it's been interesting. It's been very, very worthwhile, very valuable in terms of my professional growth. And I consider myself very, very fortunate. And I've met, I can't tell you this, just the best people who are lifelong friends. And it's been an interesting process, and it's been a very valuable process. As I said, we're going through it now with the current applicants, and we're going to be doing everything virtual this year, this time around. But to be able to meet with your national colleagues, not only from your group, my group 2012, but then also from other years. You know, there are people that you've interviewed that we've had on our webinar that I've never met in person. And I, like, for example, Kareem, I've never met in person. I look forward to the day where, you know, where I can meet him, because, you know, you see what they produce and what they write and what they talk about, and they are just awe-inspiring. And so to even be part of the conversation with some of these people is very humbling. But again, empowering at the same time.
Well, given the fact I had a chance to spend a couple of video events with you, I'm definitely convinced why you were chosen.
Well, thank you.
Teacher of the Year. So David, thank you again, not only for your commitment to education, but your commitment to the profession and serving as a mentor to up and coming teachers. We need that kind of support from those who've been on different sides of the fence. So thank you for joining me, and look forward to more conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's been a good conversation over the last few times we've met, so I appreciate it.